Hey guys, I'm Hannah Adams. We're here with the town of Chapel Hill, just interviewing locals around about what brought them to Chapel Hill and what makes them want to stay. What are your favorite things about Chapel Hill?
Just the history, the deep history of what it's about, the people that they try to help, try to do good with affordable housing. So that's kind of my niche here in Chapel Hill.
Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Sure, my name's Nick.
Awesome.
My name's Noah.
Awesome. So can you guys tell me a little bit about what brought you here in a way?
Sure, we lived in the Bay Area in California for a long, long time and wanted to move somewhere else. So we checked out Austin, Seattle, Denver, San Diego, Charlotte, and while we were in Charlotte, we said, well, why don't we drive up through the Triangle too and see what's there? As we drove through downtown and stopped and had food here, we knew this was the place we wanted to be. So that was 7 years ago. So we moved here a year after making that visit. And it's got the small town feel while still having a lot of cultural activities and stuff, a lot of great music around here. But it's still got that small town vibe, which is very cool.
What's your favorite thing about Chapel Hill?
Probably my favorite thing is just it's easy access from the middle school down to like Franklin Street in Carborough. So I'm glad I'm able to do things like that, just bike down from my house and come to places like this store where I can get drinks or snacks with my friends. And it's just a really nice place, good vibe.
For me, what I like about Chapel Hill is I like all the open space. Yeah, that you can live in kind of a small town, but there's lots of forests, there's lots of trails, there's lots of water, and so it's not just all buildings and development everywhere.
So basically, can you tell me about your favorite memory here in Chapel Hill?
I gotta think about that one.
I know there's a lot, girl.
Okay, Umstead Park. I think that's what it's called. The little creek park. I used to go there when I was little all the time. The creek, like to look at fish in the bridge and everything. And I love just going down there to like be peaceful and stuff. And then the community center over there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's like good memories of my childhood. And I just like walking up and down Franklin Street, you know.
How long have you been living in Chapel Hill for?
4 years.
What's your favorite things about
I like to walk. I like to get out every day and walk. It's so pretty. And there are a lot of nice people here.
Well, we were students here in the 60s. We left in 64. We actually got married and took us 42 years to get back, but we knew we wanted to come back to Chapel Hill. We love living here. We live on Franklin Street, just past the university. We get to partake in everything that's going on, whether it be town things or university things.
What's the appeal to Chapel Hill? What do you like about Chapel Hill? What's your favorite memories? Just give me a little bit of rundown.
That's a hard question because I grew up here, so I have a lot of memories. See, I don't know if I have one like specific memory that I can point to, but definitely like growing up and like being able to honestly like ride my bike everywhere and just like be outside and hang out like in Bowling Forest. And then now sort of seeing different elements of the bike community come together in this area too.
What are your favorite stories? Do you have anything specific you can tell me about?
Oh, just when I was young, growing up at Hargraves, that was a staple here. That's where we would go. That's where our parents took us so that they could work. So Hargraves Community Center was a big staple here in Chapel Hill when I grew up.
Do you have any specific memories on Franklin Street that have been your favorite by any chance?
Of course, Apple Chill.
Oh my gosh, can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Back in the day, everybody would go to Apple Chill. It was a big thing. It was safe. It was something to do. It was history. A lot of the local businesses would participate. So I don't think they have it anymore. So I hate that they don't have it anymore.
What's your favorite memories here in Chapel Hill with your friends? Can you tell me a little story, something like that?
I really like going in the woods with my friends, like building like forts or whatever, doing Nerf wars, stuff like that. And just in general, it's a nice place to bike around and just enjoy the weather, especially in fall when all the trees are changing colors. That's really nice.
Is fall your favorite season here in Chapel Hill, or is it something else?
Definitely fall and I'd say spring.
What's your favorite season here in Chapel Hill?
Oh, it's right now. This is the week too. All the colors are popping. This is beautiful. This is what I look forward to all year, for sure.
Do you have any specific memories by any chance that you can share with us?
Oh, I have a lot of memories. In California, we lived in a really crowded neighborhood. The boys couldn't just go run around outside. But here, we get here, and within a couple days of living here, they found turtles outside walking around, deer and snakes and all of that stuff. And then that first winter we were here, they had a couple of snow days. And I remember being worried it was going to be hard for them to adjust and make new friends. But both him and his brother told me, why didn't we come here sooner? So it's just been good for all of us.
I moved here from the western United States because I've lived in Tucson, I've lived in Colorado, and I lived in Anchorage, Alaska. And so I was astounded when I first moved here that there were so many trees all over the place, all around, right next to people's houses.
Everywhere.
Because where I come from, you don't do that. Because those trees will eventually catch on fire and they'll burn down your house. Yeah, so I was kind of surprised that there were all these trees. And so I told my neighbor, I was like, wow, look at all these trees. Don't people know this is dangerous? And he kind of looked at me strange. And then he said, you know what I'm worried about? This is in July of 2009 or so. He said, what I'm worried about is this drought. And I said, oh yeah. And I was like, well, that's strange. Like, what are you talking about, a drought? It just rained 2 weeks ago. And he said, no, it just rained 2 weeks ago. Whereas where I live, it doesn't rain for months. Yeah, and so then I realized that Chapel Hill is just very different from anywhere else I've lived. And that while it's beautiful, it's not dangerous like other parts of the world. I've never felt very dangerous here.
What's your favorite season here in Chapel Hill?
I love spring.
Spring's your favorite season? Why? Why specifically here?
Well, it just kind of makes you feel good after the winter when you see all the flowers begin to bloom and you see all the kids out on campus enjoying themselves. I just like spring.
What made you guys move back to the town of Chapel Hill?
Well, we fell in love with it when we were students, and we grew up in Atlanta, and Atlanta outgrew us, basically. And so we were up here for a football game, and we saw a for sale sign, and we always thought about retiring back here.
So we bought the house.
We bought that very first house.
Oh, that's amazing, guys. I've lived in, I don't know if you guys know where Fuquay Varina is.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, but that's where I grew up, so I completely understand the whole small vibe thing, but also,
Fuquay's changed a lot.
A lot. And I know what it is kind of like in Chapel Hill as well. It's, things are getting bigger, the prices are rising, things like that. How do you guys feel about change in Chapel Hill by any chance?
It's inevitable. This place is attracting people from all over the world. I meet a few locals, but mostly I meet people who just moved here, and it's going to keep changing. But one of the things that's different from what I saw in California is they're trying to do it carefully and thoughtfully. That's not the place everywhere else,
What do you think about change here in Chapel Hill by any chance? I know a lot of people say a lot of things have changed on Franklin Street and Chapel Hill in general, food restaurants shutting down, stores shutting down, things like that. How do you feel about that? Do you think more negatively about it, positively about it? What do you feel?
Absolutely, it's negative because many of the African American businesses are no longer here. I currently work at Empowerment, which is affordable housing, so everything has changed as far as the history, as far as African Americans are concerned.
What do you think about that future from now on for African Americans in this community?
I think it's tough because the rents here are tough as far as businesses or as far as living conditions. It's tough.
You're telling us because when we get out of college, we're gonna pay some big bucks just to live.
Yep, it's tough. We do the affordable housing, even the affordable housing piece. The rents are still expensive. Most people that work here in Chapel Hill can't afford to live here in Chapel Hill. Not to say that it's all negative, but it's just not the same as it used to be.
According to them or according to you, what makes a Chapel Hillian a Chapel Hillian?
That's an excellent question. I just feel like you know your way around. Like I'm more acquainted with Durham because I was born there, but I'm basically here every week. So knowing your way around, knowing where Franklin Street is, knowing where some specific churches, where all the hills are, because it is called Chapel Hill. It's a lot of churches and a lot of hills. Like this is a hill right here. So about that, and then UNC, of course, everyone knows Chapel Hill for UNC. So sports culture is great. So if you know your sports culture, I think that's also a good thing.
So less about how long you've lived here and more about knowing your way around.
Yeah. And then also if you've lived here your whole life, you should know everything and educate the college people because they will be here for 4 years, maybe even more. So this is basically their new home.
And what do you guys think makes a Chapel Hillian a Chapel Hillian? I know that answer is different for everybody, but I'm curious to see what you guys say.
Well, being a Chapel Hill resident is one. Being active in community events, organizations, and just taking part of what is offered. I mean, we would be old in Atlanta and not doing much it is so easy to become involved and active in Chapel Hill.
I think that's a very good answer. Getting involved is what a Chapel Hillian does, and I think I'm seeing more and more of that.
Would you ever choose to move somewhere else, or do you plan to stay here?
No, I would not. I've lived in some nice places, but I like Chapel Hill. And I'm glad to be here because my children are close by.
I know it's a very safe environment as well, and there's always like nice people around. And what do you think makes a Chapel Hillian, I'll say? I know you said you worked here a lot. You haven't necessarily lived here your whole life, but you've worked here for a large part of it.
Yeah.
So what do you think makes
Of course, the university, being a Tar Heel,
Of course.
growing up here. So yeah, just being able to walk them down Franklin Street safely. I'm out at on lunchtime. I'm walking up and down the street, and so I can feel safe. Of course, I don't like to see the homelessness that we're experiencing now, but I think that's everywhere. But we're working hard to try to combat the homelessness here in Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill is like a large town, but people kind of know each other. And so now you see some of the same people at stores, you see some of the same people at restaurants, you see the same people on campus. So, it really feels like a community to me, which is very nice.
I agree. What would you say makes a Chapel Hillian a Chapel Hillian?
It's probably either how much time you spent at Zog's or the Cave or something like that. That might have something to do with it. I don't know. I
Everyone
bet
has a different
whatever the
answer.
definition used to be, I bet it's changing.
Definitely. I know what you mean. Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys letting us interview you today, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.